Hey everybody, coming at you from out in the wilderness. Today is an exciting day for me personally, because I have a homemade shade over the top of my camera. So hopefully I can knock off some of the glare that I've been complaining about over the years. Now, back in 2011 or maybe 2012, I'm thinking it was 2011, basically 10 years ago, I did a video on a shelter called the Snake Hole Pit Shelter. And it's a funny thing looking back to them old days. That was back when beginning YouTubers had a 15-minute time limit. So I had to upload it in part 1 and part 2. But anyway, so now, it's a new age. We all have unlimited time. I have a newer, updated version of the Snake Hole Pit Shelter. And so it's just Snake Hole Pit 2021. So we're going to find a spot and shed some of this gear and start on our shelter. All right, sound good? All right, so that right there looks like a pretty decent spot, because what you have to have is a sort of a ledge to come up against. I'm right near the creek, but I'm not so close that if the creek overflows, it's going to get me. So let me shed some of this stuff. Now, a lot of the stuff I'm using is very bulky, and you don't necessarily need it. Like, this is my ultimate survival blanket with my shovel. I could have just attached the shovel to the pack, but I wanted this blanket, and it'll be the floor. You can use anything for the floor. So let's dig around in this pack, get some of the equipment out, and jump right on our shelter. That shade may be helping a little bit. That's hard to say, but I still see a glare. Like right now, when I do my hand like that, I can see it glaring on the camera. But I don't know. Time will tell. I think it's better. It's a little bit better. So we have a big old giant tarp. Wait a minute, let me pull this out. I have a machete and a saw. My knife. You'll find out what this is later. Arcturus reflective tarp. Cheapo Harbor Freight tarp. This is an 9 by 11. The bigger the tarp, the better on this, because once you cover the structure, you can just lay the sides out and lay logs and rocks on it and stuff. Shelter kit, clips and paracord. I have a fire blanket. Talk more about that in a minute. Then we got some other doodads here. Alright, let's move this over to the side. Now, let's talk about this fire blanket just a little bit. With the advent of Harbor Freight coming around, years ago I used to use fire blankets, and these things are sometimes called fire blankets, hot work blankets, welder's blankets. Some of them are fiberglass, some of them are ceramic. But the thing is used to be only welders and people that had access to welding supply stores could get these things. But now with the advent of Harbor Freight, and I believe even Lowe's and Home Depot, with them carrying them, you can get these things. So now the first thing that we're going to do, I'm going to take my machete and clear some of these vines out here, and then I'm going to get my shovel out, and we're going to dig a trench into this little sidewall right here. Getting all that dirt off from the last video. You can probably hear the creek behind you, so I guess you can just enjoy the sounds of the creek while I'm working. See, this is a perfect location too, because while I'm cleaning up my area for a shelter, I got a bunch of dry kindling for my fire. Alright, so I got my floor kit here, my ultimate survival blanket, and all I'm doing is I've got it just bungeed together. A couple of good old bungee cords. Thousands of uses. Now, this shovel here, in the last video I used a red rock shovel, which was a folding shovel. This is the red rock Jeep shovel. Brand new, never used it. I'm going to try it out and see how it does. So far it seems to be pretty comfortable to use. I won't torture you with making you watch me dig the whole thing. That's a pretty good spot so far. This red clay packs in real good, but once it gets on your tarp, it never comes off. A few rocks every now and then. Maybe I'll find gold they can put me on the Discovery Channel. I like to put leaves all over this part here. Because this red clay, if you ever get that on your tarp, it's almost impossible to get off. So now what we're going to do is we've got this nice and dug out. Shovel held up well, it didn't bend none. So now what you want to do is you want a place to be able to reach in for your pot or your hanger or whatever, and then you want to be able to have a smoke hole. So I think what I may do is open this up just a tiny bit more. Pull that out. I'm going to have to cut that. So I'm just going to make it a little bit bigger here. Kind of taper it a little bit. There we go. Now you want that back hole, the back wall, at an angle, not straight up. Alright, now you're going to take a tree branch. Now this is what varies with the other one. With the other one, you found a rotten log and embedded it and covered it in dirt. But with this, with the advent of the fire blanket, all you got to do is put it in here and roll it up on a stick, like that, until you have something that looks like that. See, and then what you'll do now is when you put your tarp up, you'll be able to lift this up, set it up on the tarp, or you can just roll it up further. For now, we're going to roll that up further to see what it looks like. So we've got a hole right here. Now what I'm going to do over here is I'm going to put a big rock right there. I don't think that rock's going to go nowhere. And then I'm going to put a rock. Well, I'm just going to put the rocks up here on top. And then we'll worry about putting the tarp right under here. How about that? Now, for another piece, I'm going to bring in close because I'm going to show you a neat little trick. Another addition that I didn't have before. I have a kettle. Let's see what I'm doing. Take this off. Pull some of this stuff out. And I have a series of hangers. See all these hangers? And a ring, and a little S-hook, a little bitty S-hook. So I've got all these different lengths that can add up to all these different things for each situation. So what I have in the tube I got a saw and a saw blade. Saw with an extra saw blade. That always stays in there. Or at least it does now. Now what I have is 2 stainless steel rods and a series of tubes. Alright, so let's take a look at these. So what we're going to do, this is such a small pit, I think what I'm going to do is let's get the smallest S-hook. And I think what I'm just going to be able to, I'm not even going to need any of that other stuff. Look at that. See, I can hang the kettle right there perfectly. Now the thing is the reason that I had these 2 tubes is because if a pit is wide enough, and I'm not going to stay here but one night, so I mean if I was going to stay here for a week I'd build a giant pit. But what you're supposed to do is stab one in one side, and then depending on the length, slide the tubing in on the other side, then stab the other one in, and then you could slide this over and connect the 2. And if you wanted to, you could hang a ring on it. See? But none of this is necessary, and as a matter of fact, I'm going to have to dig down just a little bit deeper right here for my fire. But anyway, that's the idea behind all that stuff right there. So, but I wanted to get that settled before I did the tarp. Alrighty. So, let's pull this off. Got plenty of dirt in it where I stabbed it in. So let's dig down a little bit more and make it to where I can have more room for my fire. Alright. Actually I could move that up just a little bit. Let's try that. Nothing says that I've got to have it where I've got it. So let's pull this out. Stick it in up here higher. And stick that in. So you can't hardly see it now, and it's crooked. Try to get it level. Alright, let's try that. That may be where it's at right there. Yeah, see now I don't have to do as much. I'll just have to go a tiny bit deeper. So let's try that. Now, there's a million different ways of building the framework for the shelter, but I like a big Y branch. That way it straddles the fire pit. So, you want to make the ends of them even, or as even as possible. You maybe sharpen them up a little bit so they'll stab. Then you want to kind of trim everything up so that you don't stab the top of your tarp. You want the ends kind of sharp so that they'll stab into the dirt. Let's move you over. Should be somewhere in the neighborhood of this. Just like that. Now we need another stick about waist high. I honestly cannot see anything from the glare, even with that stupid shield on, so it doesn't work. So what you want here is another Y stick that's pretty wide, and I found one here that's pretty wide. Get some of that stuff out of the way here. Alright, let's see. Get that off. Get that out of the way. Get that out of the way. It'll work. Alright. So what we want to do, we're going to give it a cut. I'm down here on the bottom. Man, I can't see nothing on camera. I'm going to give it a cut on the bottom here. Then we'll give it a cut right here. Alright, so now I've got this Y here. I got to be careful with that because it's cracked. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the saw. Let's see. This needs to be, let me just use this. It needs to be about waist high. So it needs to be about that high. So I'm going to go from there to here. So this thing needs to be, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it at a V. Alright. So what you have is a V at the top with the tripod. That's what you want. So all I got to do now is I got a V on the end and a fork, and I just set it up under this piece and sort of stab it in the ground and take paracord and tie the top off so it doesn't move around. But this basically holds it. Now I get this kit out and get some paracord out and tie it off. Now I've got the frame tied up right here, good and secure. So the next step before I go covering it up, what I want to do is I'm going to put my blanket on here. Go ahead and put it on the ground so that I've got a nice floor. Now I'm going to run this all the way up to here. Now, if you have a smaller tarp that you're going to put on the top, that brightness may be messing with the camera, but if you've got a smaller tarp that you're going to go over this, there's loops on here, or for whatever you want to use. If you want to use a grabber blanket or whatever, I could tie these things up from here to here, or you could put sticks under them. Either way, but that's kind of one of the design features behind all this webbing. So, I've got grabber blankets I've modified in the same way, and in the future I may show them. The thing is I'm not going to pull these up, because when you pull them up, it makes a tight shelter, which is great for sleeping, but terrible for filming. So I'm just going to kind of show you that. Now, The next part is the big giant tarp you can just throw over the top. And you don't even have to tie it down. You can just lay logs around it. And then that's what I'm going to show you what we're going to do up here up in the front. For now that I've got the floor down, one other thing, what I'm going to do, all of my stuff that I want inside, just go ahead and lay it all inside. See? Nothing to it. Now, what I'm going to do, the only thing I left out was my shovel because it doesn't matter. I don't have to have it inside. Now, if you had a smaller tarp, like I said, you could tie the floor up before you put the top on it. But the beauty of a big giant tarp is you just cover the whole area. Now here's the beauty of where this part comes in. This is what you're going to be really interested in if you're going to do this for yourself. At this point, you move the rocks, just like that, and then you unroll the tarp just a little bit, and you lay it back on, and then you want to cover about a foot of your shelter, and then you just put the rocks back, then lay a couple of sticks up here to kind of hold it down, and that's it. This part's done. Now if you're worried about this part puddling up, then what you're going to want to do is this will have to be raised up higher, or you'll have to have a tarp covering the hole if it's going to rain anyway, because this is ineffective in the rain. But you can lift this up like this, or you can lift the whole thing up like this. See if I can get it down here. There we go. See, there's a million different ways of manipulating this stuff. But for just straight up cold weather, this works. If it rains, you know, because this is more of this tarp is a wind blocker and to trap your heat inside rather than having the rain off of you. But if you've got the elevation of this setup right, it'll keep the rain off of you. See, on this other side here, all you got to do is lay branches on it. Also helps with the camo capabilities of it. It's as simple as that. Just lay branches all over the sides. This is the lazy man shelter. Alright, we're going to go inside now. So I went ahead and took my cardboard shade off. It wasn't working anyway. So let's go on inside and let's take a look, see what it looks like in there. How's that? Now I've got you off the tripod and I'm just holding on to you because there's no way really of moving around in here. But I want you to see how roomy this is. Okay, there's my shirt. There's some other gear. There's that extra blanket I don't need. There's my backpack. And you can see there's room up in there. Now see, you can see why if I was to put the, and there's a fire pit with the sun coming in. If I was to put the, what do you call it? Oh, I done forgot. If I was to put the sides of this blanket up, it'd really be tight and I wouldn't be able to film in there. And see, I've got room for all my stuff in there. So this is very, very cozy here. There's that tripod I was telling you about, cam gear, fluid drive. So anyway, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put you back on the tripod and we're going to start a fire and see how the smoke evacuates. Ain't that neat? Oh, and may I say, this camo tarp's got the sun coming through it. It's already like an oven in here. I mean, literally, it is like an oven in here. It is hot in here. So I could only imagine, you know, you could put the clear plastic in here so that the sunlight could come through and it'd be very warm during the day. You wouldn't even need a fire in the day. So, ain't it cool in here? Let's get you back on the tripod. Now most of the time in here, most of the time, like I say, a lot of people, they're always saying things like, what do you do if it rains? Well, you know, you as a bushcrafter should have multiple setups in your toolbox. You need to know several different ways of setting things up. And there's wet winter shelters, and then there's dry winter shelters. And so you really need to know the difference. Should have done all that wood processing outside. Anyway. The thing is, you need to have more than one shelter in your toolbox. Now, for the most part, this shelter in a light rain does great. Okay, especially if you've got the fire going. That is a light rain or a mist. But the majority of the time, it's not that good for it. But there's a few modifications you can make to the roof of it. And but like I say, if you're trying to stay warm inside a shelter like this, you don't want the roof real high anyway. So anyway, let's throw a couple of these in here to get that fire going, because I want to see. I want to take you back outside and see where'd that bag go. Here it is. I want to see if let's see, there's my cup, and all right, there's a cup for oatmeal, Dennis oatmeal. And then let's see, I got somewhere in here is a little, where'd it go? Can't find it. Oh, there it is. All right, somewhere, oh, here they are. And a couple of little coffee packets, little instant coffee packets, because I'm by myself, I don't have to make a massive cup. All right, so let's put these over here. I'll put both of them in there. Have us a little wax pad, get us going. Because when you're in tight quarters like this, you don't really want to have to fool around with, you know, dealing with that ain't gonna work. This is old and hardened up. You don't want to have to deal with the bushcrafty way of doing things. You know, hand drill, ferro rod, all that kind of stuff. So what we're going to do, light that up. Let's just set this in here, and then just start breaking these little sticks up and laying them on it. Because these are very close quarters, but you know, like I said, you don't need a gigantic shelter for doing this kind of stuff. Now you want to watch where your flames are going. You want to keep an eye on that up there, because your thing may, now see, the flames aren't touching it. That's what you want. Is the flames not touching. So one of the things that you want to do is you want to go outside and you want to monitor the fire, and that's what we're going to do next. Once you've got it started like that, and I think that's going to be good enough, because what you want to do is you want to see if there's going to be any kind of damage out there. Then you're going to want to go and I'll show you in a minute. Another reason why I threw a lot of that dirt up on the hills, you may want to pack it around the hole. Put a few more on them. Going out there. Alright, so let's go out here and look. Alright, there we go. Now see, you got a little bit of stuff right here that you want to be concerned with. Let's see if I can see what's going on here. Yeah, you can see that perfect. Let's tighten this down. So what you want to do is now, while you're at the top, is you want to grab a handful of these leaves. Make sure all this stuff here is not catching on fire. Pull back all these leaves. Then you can pack a little dirt in around here if you want to. I say I can come back and do more of this later. But the main thing I'm doing is I'm putting some of this dirt here, covering up anywhere where there's leaves. I say I've added a leaf here, which is bad. I see the flames are dying down. Let me give you a bird's eye view of it. See how it looks inside there? Ain't that neat? I say I don't see any. See how I've got that ring of the red dirt around it now? You don't see much of a danger now. And you see the smoke starting to barely come up. So what we're going to do, cameras cameras always make things so much easier. Oh, I can feel it. See, it's just like I remember it. Just like I remember it from years ago. Super, super warm. Super warm. I can feel the warmth coming in, hitting me. So now what you want to do is find out, let's see. Move it down here. Let's get rid of these gloves. See, this is just such a fun shelter. I mean, it literally makes you feel like a kid again. Get this there. Now what you want to do, another thing is once you put the water on, you want to go back outside and make sure that your pot, or whatever your hanging vessel is, isn't impeding the flow of smoke. You gotta be, there's a lot of people that like these hot tents, which is great if you've got an oven, but the thing is, if you're trying to heat a shelter like this with an open fire, you have to do whatever it takes to make sure that you have to make sure that smoke, even if you just got flames like this, you have to make sure that the smoke is evacuating and not getting into your shelter. Oh, and this is another reason why the end has to stay slightly open. Because you want an airflow. The air comes in See that right there? I'm not even looking at the viewfinder. See that opening right there? Because what you want is the airflow. Is this hot air is rising and this fire is drawing air through the shelter. Okay, so now you may want to close that off at night to slow it down a little bit, but you still want some air coming in. Looks like it's doing good so far. Now I only put the amount of water in there for my oatmeal and my coffee. Because the more water you put in there, the longer it'll take to boil. I'm just putting in what I need. Now we're starting to get some smoke, so let's go outside and take another look at it. I don't know if you can see the smoke rising or not. Not real sure. But see, for the most part, like I said, I think for the most part this shelter right here would be plenty waterproof, unless it was just a flood. Now the cool thing is there's a tree there, and a tree there. So you could actually hang a tarp about 4 feet up above that fire. Kind of like I did on the Franken shelter. Let's take another look at it. Oh, the shovel held up good. We're gonna ain't gonna win a beauty contest, but it'll work. There you go. See the smoke? That's what I wanted to see. Smoke's coming up. There you go. Oh, wait a minute. That's steam. The water's boiling already. We got to get back in there. Video's about over because I'm hungry. Oh, and the beauty of this too is once I've got this dug out, I can just load up my tarp and I can come back here next weekend. I can camp here because I've already got my pit. That's the cool thing about this setup here is that you can find you a spot that you can return to and do this over and over. And I got a fresh water source here too. I'm right in front of a creek. So see, this is a good spot. I may come back here next weekend. Oh yeah, that water's boiling. So, see if we can find a nice, decent spot. Now let's just start with the coffee. What do we got here? Ooh, Colombian. Let's open this up. Colombian coffee. Hang in. A little bit of oatmeal. Alrighty. Let's get you a little closer. I really needed a shorter tripod. See, it can be cold and windy outside now, and I don't care. It's a little hot. Let's get this other glove. These are my work gloves. There we go. Perfect. See, we got coals. We still got, oh, it smells good. That smells so good. See, we still got coals back there, so I can hang that back over the fire if I need to. Ain't that neat? Alright, so I certainly had fun. I hope y'all had fun. I'm fixing to have some oatmeal and some coffee. And I'm probably going to go out and gather up some firewood for tonight. I don't know how long this video is, but my battery's getting a little bit low. So anyway, it's not going to be real cold tonight, so there's no reason really to test this shelter. Right now, honestly, it feels like an oven in here. It is so hot in here. I can't get over how hot this is in here. But anyway, what else was I going to say? Oh, real quick, this is being filmed in March, and if you're watching it, it's probably being uploaded in April, because those that know me and know where I work, y'all know that I work at a place that has an annual shutdown once a year. Well, April is the shutdown. I'm working 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. So the 2 videos in April are going to be the ones that I filmed ahead of time. So, you know, I'm just trying to enjoy my time while I can, you know, while I have time off. So, you know, Nick didn't want to come out here for this one. So, but, you know, I just wanted to get away for one day and set this up and try out the new things. And so I encourage you, you know, those of you that have access to Harbor Freight and maybe Northern Tool and Lowe's and Home Depot, or if you want to, buy one of these fire blankets online. You know, this El Cheapo tarp here that I'm using came from Harbor Freight, or, you know, you could use plastic if you wanted to, if you wanted, you know, if you had a big fire outside of this thing. But this thing does a good job for warming you up. And it's like whenever I'm sleeping in these, I'll sleep in my boots and wool socks, or sometimes I'll carry booties, you know, and wear thermal underwear. And then majority of the time, the top half, I'm stripped down to a t-shirt because this little fire here is so hot. And at night, I'll put larger logs in it. But basically, a pit this size is pretty much just for cooking and kind of keeping warm. So, but anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you had fun. Man, that coffee sure does smell good. Oh man, it smells delicious. So, and then I'll have the oatmeal here in just a minute. So, I'm gonna chow down. Y'all get out. Y'all enjoy life. Hope you enjoyed the shelter. Hope you enjoyed the video, and we shall see you in the next one.